The silver fork in my hand felt like a lead weight, vibrating with the force of my sister's laughter. "Where's your husband, Grace?" "Oh right, you don't have one." Brooke said it with a smirk that had cost me $80,000 over 7 years. My mother chuckled into her wine. My father didn't even look up from his roast chicken. In that sterile wood-polished dining room in Tacoma, I realized I wasn't a daughter or a sister. I was an interest-free loan with no expiration date. But as the clock ticked on the wall, I knew something they didn't. I had just found the forged signature on the home equity loan. The bank was closing tonight and I was about to take back every cent of my soul. I am Grace Whitaker. At 32, I've built a life in Seattle that looks on the surface like a victory. I'm a UX researcher. I spend my days analyzing human behavior, mapping out journeys to make digital worlds easier to navigate. My apartment in Capitol Hill is a sanctuary of mid-century modern furniture and quiet mornings. But my own journey has been a dead end. For a decade, my paycheck has been a ghost, vanishing into the bank accounts of people who only call me when the check engine light comes on. Every Sunday I drive south to Tacoma. It's a ritual of penance. I walk into that house, the house I saved from foreclosure in 2021, and I become invisible. The walls are a gallery of Brooke's triumphs. Brooke in her pageant crown. Brooke at graduation. There isn't a single photo of me that isn't half-cropped, a blurry figure in the background of someone else's moment. "Thanks for keeping things steady, Grace," my father would say, patting my shoulder like I was a reliable floorboard. No one asked how my job was. No one asked if I was lonely. They just waited for the "Hey sis, can you help me just this once?" text to arrive on Monday morning. The air that Sunday was different. It was thick, electric like the atmosphere before a massive Pacific Northwest storm. My mother was gushing about Brooke's influencer lifestyle, a lifestyle funded by my overtime hours. "You should really get out more, Grace," Brooke said, swirling a glass of Pinot Grigio I had bought. "Maybe you'd find someone to share those spreadsheets with. I mean, look at you. No husband, no kids, just surveys." The table erupted in that soft, polite laughter that hurts worse than a scream. It was the laughter of people who think you'll never leave because you have nowhere else to go. I set my spoon down. The clink against the china sounded like a gunshot. "Where's your money, Brooke?" I asked. The room went dead. "Oh right. I've been paying your car insurance, your rent, and your credit card since you were 22. So, technically that wine in your hand belongs to me. Maybe you should stop drinking my equity and start finding a life that isn't a subsidized fantasy." The silence was absolute. I stood up, took my coat and walked out. I didn't wait for the apologies that weren't coming. I drove back to Seattle with the windows down, the cold rain hitting my face, finally feeling awake. When I got home I didn't cry. I went to my desk. I pulled up my credit monitoring service. I had seen a notification weeks ago that I'd brushed off as a mistake. A hard inquiry for a home equity line of credit. I dug deeper. I called the bank's fraud department. And there was a loan for $50,000, taken out against the Tacoma house, with my name listed as a co-signer. I pulled the digital scan of the document. The signature was Grace Whitaker, written in my father's precise academic script. He hadn't just taken my money. He had stolen my future. He had used my high credit score to anchor a sinking ship, betting that good daughter Grace would never check the fine print. I sat in the dark for hours. $84,000. That was the total I had given them in 7 years. And now this. My fingers hovered over the cancel recurring transfer button on my banking app. One by one I severed the tethers. The mortgage. The insurance. Brooke's allowance. Monday was a symphony of vibrations. 8 a.m., Mom. Grace, the mortgage bounced. Is there a glitch at your bank? 10:30 a.m. Dad. Call me immediately. This is a matter of family security. 1 p.m. Brooke. I'm at the salon and my card was declined. This is so embarrassing. Fix it. I ignored them all. I spent my lunch break at a law firm in the Smith Tower. Rachel Tran, a shark of a lawyer with a penchant for high-stakes litigation, looked at the forged documents and whistled. This is identity theft, Grace. Plain and simple. If you press charges, your father could face prison time. If you don't, you're on the hook for 50 grand plus interest. I don't want him in a cell, I said, my voice trembling. I just want him out of my life. Then we play hardball, Rachel replied. The text came on Thursday. Come home Sunday. We need to talk. I arrived in Tacoma at 6 p.m. No wine this time. No polite smiles. I walked into the dining room carrying a thick black accordion folder. My father was at the head of the table, looking like a king whose castle was crumbling. My mother was weeping, a practiced soft sob designed to trigger my guilt. Brooke was glaring, her phone face down for once. How could you do this? My mother wailed. We're your family. We'll lose the house. You already lost the house, Mom, I said, dropping the folder on the table. It made a heavy final thwack. You lost it the second Dad signed my name on a $50,000 loan without asking. My father's face went the color of ash. I did it for the family, Grace. Keep things steady. You weren't using that credit for anything anyway. You don't even have a family of your own to provide for. The cruelty of that statement was the final nail. I am providing for a family, I snapped. I'm providing for myself. And from this moment on, you are no longer my responsibility. Inside this folder is a draft of a police report for identity theft and a civil suit for the return of $84,000 in misappropriated funds. Brooke jumped up. You're suing us? Your own sister? You're pathetic. I'm not suing you yet, Brooke, I said, turning to her. I'm giving you a choice. Dad has 30 days to remove my name from that loan and refinance it under his own name, or sell the house to pay it off. If my name isn't cleared by the 30th day, I file the report. And Brooke, you have 30 days to find a job, because the Bank of Grace is permanently closed. The fallout was spectacular. My father tried to bluster, but he knew I had the records. He knew the bank would side with me. He had no leverage left. 2 weeks later, the for sale sign went up on the Tacoma lawn. It was the only way they could cover the debt and pay back the bank. The house that had been the center of my guilt was finally going to belong to someone else. Brooke had to move into a tiny studio apartment and, heaven forbid, actually work a 40-hour week at a retail boutique. My parents moved into a senior living community, funded by what little was left from the sale. The last time I saw them was the day they moved. The house was empty, echoing with the ghosts of 10,000 just this once requests. My mother didn't hug me. My father didn't look at me. I hope you're happy, he muttered, carrying a box of old economics textbooks. You broke this family. No, Dad, I said, standing on the porch I had once paid for. I just stopped being the glue. You broke it yourselves by thinking my love was a commodity you could trade. I drove back to Seattle as the sun was setting over the Sound, turning the water into a sheet of hammered gold. For the first time in my adult life, I didn't have a balance sheet in my head. I didn't have a mental list of bills that weren't mine. I went to my apartment, poured a glass of wine, and sat on my balcony. The city was loud, vibrant, and full of people living their own lives. I looked at my bank account. The numbers were steady. My credit was recovering. But more importantly, my time was mine. I learned a hard lesson in that Tacoma dining room. Being a good daughter doesn't mean being a martyr. Real love doesn't leave you empty. It fills you up. And if the people who are supposed to love you only value you for what you can give, then they don't love you at all. They love your utility. Now when I look at the skyline, I don't feel the weight of a family on my shoulders. I feel the wind. I feel the silence. And for the first time, that silence doesn't feel like a weapon. Feels like freedom. The Bank of Grace is officially closed, but this channel is just getting started. If you enjoyed seeing the tables turn today, show some love by hitting like and subscribing. We drop the most gripping high-stakes stories every week. Join the family, the real family, and I'll see you in the next one.